Have you ever seriously thought about what it would take to live to be 100? I mean, not just surviving, but actually thriving with a great quality of life? Well, today we're going to dive into the real, science-backed secrets to getting there. And trust me, the answers are probably not what you're thinking.
So, let's start with a little reality check. Just over 100 years ago, in the 1900s, the average person lived to be just 32 years old. I mean, think about that for a second. That's insane. Most people never even saw what we'd call middle age. So what on earth happened? How did we go from that to seeing 80 or 90 as pretty normal?
Now, I bet your first thought is modern medicine, right? You're thinking vaccines, antibiotics, all the fancy stuff we have now. But what if I told you the single biggest jump in our lifespan had almost nothing to do with a doctor's office? Yeah, the first and honestly the most important leap forward in how long we live came from something way more basic, something we totally take for granted today. So let's kick things off by busting one of the biggest myths out there about how we all started living so much longer. Okay, so here's the wild part. The biggest initial spike in our lifespan happened before vaccines and antibiotics were even a thing. The real heroes? They weren't doctors. They were sanitation engineers, seriously. By building sewers and making sure people had clean water, they basically wiped out deadly diseases like cholera and typhoid. These were the diseases that were killing more than half of all kids before they turned 15. So yeah, medicine helped later for sure, but it was plumbing that gave us the first giant leap. And that history lesson brings us to a really critical idea that shapes everything we're going to talk about next, the difference between just managing disease and actually proactively creating health. Let's break this down because it's super important. Disease management, that's what most of modern medicine does. It's reactive, it gives you a pill to suppress a symptom, right? It lowers your blood pressure but doesn't fix what's causing it. Health creation is the complete opposite. It's proactive. It's about building a body that's so resilient and functions so well that it doesn't get sick in the first place. See the difference? The goal isn't just to not die, it's to live an amazing, energetic life. And a fantastic way to actually measure this health reserve is your VO2 max. Think of it like the horsepower of your body's engine. It measures how well your body can take in oxygen and use it to create energy. It's an incredibly powerful predictor of your overall fitness, your resilience, and yeah, how long you're probably going to live. Okay, so theory is great, but where can we actually see this health creation stuff in the real world? Well, let's take a look at two places on the planet with some of the longest lived people around, Japan and Hong Kong.
First up, Japan. It is the world capital of centenarians. I mean, get this, over 95,000 people there are over 100 years old. That's just staggering. So what are they doing right?
And this is where it gets really interesting because you see how different roads can lead to the same destination. In Japan, it's all about things like fermented soy, seaweed, and fish. They even have mandatory nutrition classes in school. A huge factor for them is their gut health. It's incredibly diverse, thanks in part to unique microbes from the ocean. But then you look at Hong Kong, and they have one of the lowest smoking rates, which is great, but they also have the highest meat consumption in the entire world. The one thing they have in common? They both walk a ton.
Okay, let's just stop on this for a second. Over 320 pounds of meat per person per year. This just completely shatters that old idea that you have to avoid meat to live a long time. It's a huge reminder that there is no single magic diet for everyone.
So, with all this data and these examples, how do we actually apply this to our own lives? Well, let's break it down into a simple, practical toolkit built around three core pillars of action. Pillar number one, master your metabolism. This is huge. You start by getting your insulin under control, which means avoiding hidden sugars and stuff like bread and pasta. Then you practice fasting. This triggers something called autophagy, which is basically your body's deep cleaning crew for your cells. You also want to try the Japanese trick of eating only until you're about 80% full. And finally, take a walk after you eat. Seriously, this simple habit works kind of like the powerful diabetes drug metformin, but with zero side effects. It's a free win. All right, pillar two is all about embracing good stress. There's a fancy word for it, hormesis. The idea is that short, controlled stressors actually make your body stronger. We're talking about things like saunas and cold showers. It means mixing up your workouts. Don't just do cardio, do resistance training and high-intensity stuff too.
Getting some sun for vitamin D is a part of this, and so is eating fermented foods like sauerkraut or kimchi to challenge and strengthen your gut.
And finally, pillar 3, optimize your core systems. Look, these are the non-negotiables. You have to prioritize 7 to 8 hours of good sleep. You've got to fight to keep your muscle mass as you get older. Get your vitamin D levels checked and aim for that sweet spot between 60 and 80. And last but not least, build strong social connections. Don't ever underestimate how bad loneliness is for you. It's a massive stressor that can genuinely shorten your life.
Now, for the really cool part. Let's tie all of this practical advice together and see what's actually happening deep down, on a genetic level. I want you to meet the FOXO3 gene. Scientists often call it a longevity gene because they find it's way more active in people who live past 100. But here's the absolute best part. Your genes aren't your destiny. Their expression, whether they're turned on or off, isn't fixed. The things you do every single day can literally flip the switch and turn this amazing gene on. So, how do you flip that switch? Well, take a look at this list. Does it look familiar? It should. It's basically everything we just talked about in our toolkit. Fasting, different types of exercise, heat and cold, a low-carb diet, good sleep. These are the exact things science shows can activate your FOXO3 gene. It all connects. Your choices are literally sending messages to your DNA, telling it to repair, to get more resilient, and to stick around for the long haul. So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that you have so much more control than you think. Every single meal you eat, every workout you do, every night you go to bed, it's a chance to talk to your genes. The power to build a long, healthy future is right there, in your hands. The only real question left is, what switch are you going to turn on today?